Hey everyone, this is Dr. B. Today we're talking about the documentary film You're No Indian, which is all about tribal disenrollment. I had the opportunity to attend a screening here in Fresno, so I wanted to come back and share my thoughts about the film. Definitely not here to tell anybody what to think, but I would encourage you all to definitely go and check it out. It was definitely a very powerful documentary, but also heartbreaking, and I'm going to explain why. The film is all about disenrollment, which basically means that tribal communities, tribal nations, in some cases have disenrolled, which means they're kicking members out of their tribe. So if you're disenrolled from your tribe, you could be banished from your community, not have access to community spaces, loss of services and resources, family separation. In one case in the film that was hard to watch, even possibly being evicted from your home. So disenrollment, according to the film, is affecting thousands of people, and I believe the number they gave was more than 11,000 people have been disenrolled from their tribal nations. Now there's 575 federally recognized tribes, and as of right now, tribal nations get to decide their enrollment process, and that is the way it should be. And I'm a firm believer in tribal sovereignty. I believe that the federal government needs to stay out of tribal business, and that for tribal nations to rebuild in the settler colonial system that we're all living under, they need to have tribal sovereignty. So I just want to say that I am a firm believer in tribal sovereignty, but at the same time, I'm able to recognize that there may be some injustices in certain cases, maybe in many cases. So I did know some people in the film, which definitely caught me a little off guard. And I had figured when I attended this showing that there would be a lot of community members there, and there were. So it was nice to see a lot of people from the community. As of right now, the film is only showing in limited theaters. I did like the fact that the director was there, Ryan Flynn, and then Santana, one of the producers, she was also in attendance. So after the film was over, they did a little Q&A. So all of that was really cool. But it was hard to watch, knowing so many community members that I know who've been disenrolled from their tribe. And I've had a lot of students over the years have come to me and have shared with me their stories of being disenrolled and how it affects them personally. So there's a human cost to this, and that's undeniable. That is definitely not debatable. So let me just say this about tribal sovereignty. In my view, tribal nations should have the right to determine their own citizenship. Tribes have been dealing with colonialism, settler colonial policies that are meant to completely eliminate tribal nationhood status. And that has kind of been the goal of the United States. Any settler colonial society, one of the main objectives and missions is to do away with indigenous communities. So tribal communities have had to do so much just to make it here to 2026. And I do believe that tribes have the inherent right to sovereignty, which means deciding their own citizenship. So no outsiders, including the federal government, should have the right to say, hey, you have to enroll this person, or you can't kick out this individual. That should be left up to each tribal community. Now, I also want to recognize that along with that, there may be some injustices that have taken place. There might be some people who are legitimate members of their tribe, but for a number of reasons, and we'll get into those reasons, they have been disenrolled. And I can also say that that's unjust, and that's definitely not what we want to see happening. I want to acknowledge the complexities here because there's always two sides to every story. We know this. And in some cases, the way it's been explained to me, people have been kicked out of their tribe because they're not actual legitimate members of said tribe. And there's also situations where people break laws on their homeland, on their reservation, and as a result, they get kicked out, they get disenrolled. Tribes have the right to determine enrollment, they have the right to disenroll people, and unfortunately, people have been disenrolled from their tribe because of laws that they have broken. Now, the director of the film, the producers of the film are arguing what's driving disenrollment is greed, it's Indian gaming. As a result of the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act, which was passed in 1988, it's become very lucrative for many tribes. Now, there's a lot of mythology around Indian gaming, and I just want to make sure everybody is clear. Not all tribes benefit from Indian gaming. Some tribes don't even have a casino. Some tribes have a casino, but their casino isn't doing so well that they're able to give per capita payments to their tribal members. Now, here in California, you have these very large casinos, Las Vegas style gambling. They're making millions and millions of dollars, and as a result, they're able to give very large per capita payments. In some cases, we're talking about tens of thousands of dollars every month to their tribal members. And I'm incredibly happy for tribal communities that have done well. This has been great for many tribal communities. It's been great for their tribal economies, and it's really helped out in many different ways. And I definitely want to acknowledge that, because Indian gaming, although there's obviously problems that come with it, it's been really good for several communities. But what the film argues is that in some cases, greed becomes problematic and people are being kicked out so others can increase their per capita payments. That is one of the arguments. And again, I encourage you, go check out the film for yourself. You make up your own mind. But like I said, there's always two sides to every story. I think there are some people who are seeking out enrollment in their tribe. They are legitimate members of that tribe, but for whatever reason, these tribal communities have shut down enrollment, and the film doesn't really talk about that. But I am familiar with some tribal communities where you have relatives who are, first cousins, directly related, and some families are enrolled, some families are not. And if you are not enrolled, you do not gain access to those community benefits, including possibly per capita payments, which, in my view, that's incredibly problematic. But those are community issues that they have to work out for themselves. Believing in tribal sovereignty, I would hope these tribal communities would be able to work out their issues and, make sure that they're taking care of their tribal members. And obviously, knowing people who've been disenrolled and how it's affected them, it's definitely heartbreaking. It's really sad to see. And is there a fair process? Always? Probably not. And I definitely wanted to acknowledge that as well. All right, so let's talk about blood quantum, because this does come up in the film, and it certainly is very controversial. Tribal enrollment is really complicated because we have 575 federally recognized tribes. You have tribes that are state recognized, and you have some tribes that are not recognized, that have no federal recognition, don't gain access to any federal programs whatsoever. So blood quantum was used initially as a way basically to do away with tribes altogether. And there was a belief that, eventually tribes would be assimilated into mainstream America. And that was what the whole boarding school system was about. And when they passed the General Allotment Act, which is also referred to as the Dawes Act, it was pushed by Henry Dawes back in 1887. They were giving out allotments, and it was all based on how much Indian blood that you had. So this is a settler colonial tool, according to some, and it was used basically to justify land theft, the theft of indigenous territory. And so to be a member of some tribes, they have blood quantum standards of 1/2 or more, or you have to be 1/4 or 1/8. But like I said, every tribe gets to make their own call on this, and some tribes have done away with blood quantum altogether. So it's controversial for a number of reasons, because if you are not able to meet those blood quantum standards, which in many cases are just simply made up, then you are unable to enroll in your tribe. And tribes marry outside of their own group more than any other group here in the United States. So we're talking about tribal communities which are seeing their enrollment drop as a result of blood quantum standards, which are very difficult to even meet. And some tribes, I believe, are even allowing you to enroll using Indian ancestry from another tribe. So they're counting that as part of their blood quantum standards. But like I said, this has been a tool used by the federal government. It's a made-up thing. You can't look at somebody's Indian blood and say, oh, they're 1/2 or they're 1/4 or they're 1/8. It's just all made up nonsense. And it all goes back to basically the United States government wanting to end tribal sovereignty, wanting to assimilate indigenous people into mainstream America. And that's where you get the 1887 Dawes Act. That's where you get the boarding school system. This has created all kinds of problems. There's been all kinds of other congressional acts like termination and relocation. It's just have been devastating to tribal nationhood, to tribal nationhood building, which is something that I really believe in. So arguments for blood quantum standards is like, hey, they want people who are actually members of that tribe to gain the benefits of being members of that tribe. So that would be an argument for it. Argument against it is that it's been used as a means of doing away with tribal sovereignty. Like I said, everybody's got to make up their own mind how they feel about blood quantum and if they believe it's wrong or they believe it's right. But just remember what I said. It all goes back to whether or not you believe in tribal sovereignty or you don't believe in it. And I'm a firm believer in it, knowing that there are some injustices that are taking place and hoping that these communities are able to work out these issues. And obviously, for me, I want to see these tribes all be successful. I want to see indigenous cultures survive into the future. And it's always been an uphill climb in the settler colonial society that we live in. So blood quantum has been a tool to limit tribal sovereignty, to completely do away with it. And the argument that the film gives is that tribes are using blood quantum to do kind of the government's dirty work. Like I said, check out the film and you can make up your mind for yourself. According to the film, it's that casino money that's driving disenrollment. Per capita increases when rolls shrink. So if you kick off 50 people out of your tribe and there's only 50 people left who are enrolled members, that means you could double your per capita payments. Now, again, I'm not saying that that's happening because I don't have the exact numbers and I haven't been presented any kind of evidence that this is actually taking place. But this is the argument in the film, and I encourage everybody to make up your own mind how you feel about disenrollment. There are some situations, according to the film as well, where tribal members gain political power, they win elections, and in some cases maybe they don't like certain families and they kick them off the roll. And in some cases what they're doing, according to the film as well, is they're taking members of the tribe, right, and they're finding like a distant ancestor who was enrolled in the tribe, and they're basically saying, oh, this person isn't an actual member. I don't want to name the tribe. Again, go see the film when you have a chance. When you can stream it, definitely check it out. This situation was definitely really interesting. Probably one of the most compelling situations that was brought up in the film. And they pretty much disenrolled the entire family. Once they kicked her off the rolls, they kicked out every single other family member. And this individual was born in the 1800s. So they're going back and kicking people off the rolls from literally over 100 years ago. It's just kind of a crazy situation. That was pretty that was pretty wild, just seeing that in the film. And just thinking about if you were a member of a family that was facing that situation, I could see how that's just such an injustice. So again, I believe in protecting tribal sovereignty. I warn against people using disenrollment stories to attack tribal nation building. Again, we can acknowledge that there are some injustices. How to fix that, I don't have those answers. I would hope that these situations could be handled the right way internally, but that doesn't seem to be what's happening. So for me, it was really great to see the film. Also, it was definitely heartbreaking knowing people who have been disenrolled. There were some people there who had been disenrolled from their tribes, and yeah, it's a tough situation. But the discussion that we had was very respectful. It was honest, and it was much needed. So there's some healthy dialogue that I think needs to be had. I think tribes are going to begin to change how they run their enrollment standards, their citizenship standards. The world is changing, and obviously, tribes are looking at it from a cultural point of view as well. They want their culture to survive, and being a member of a distinct community means that you have a distinct culture. And if you're not learning that culture, or if you're being raised up in a way that doesn't represent who you truly are, that could be seen as a problem. In fact, I do see that as a problem, because I think that's what the federal government always wanted. They wanted to assimilate all tribal people into mainstream America, so basically they could take the land and resources. And I think a lot of this goes back to just a lack of resources, and along with that, there's always going to be some kind of major conflict, and that's resulted in disenrollment. My final takeaway is this: definitely go and watch the film and check it out. Super controversial. There's some scenes in there that are probably kind of embarrassing for some community members. I'm sure there are many who do not want you to see this movie. So I think there needs to be a healthy discussion centered around disenrollment, and I feel as though we can have good, healthy dialogue in a respectful way. I invite you all to comment as well. If you've seen the movie, I would like to know your thoughts. If you have any feelings you'd like to share in regards to disenrollment, please feel free to share. Let's just have a good, healthy conversation. Healthy dialogue, that's what I want to see here. Also, I'm hoping in the future, in discussions right now with possibly getting Ryan Flynn on the show. He was the director of You're No Indian, and Santana as well, one of the producers. So if I can get them on the show, then we can have a good discussion about You're No Indian and talk more about disenrollment. All right, y'all, this is Dr. B. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment. Don't forget to like. And if you got something from this, you can also share the video. Till next time, later.